Hey, soul survivors, we're going to get into this. Am I the narcissist? We start thinking that after we've been through narcissistic abuse. And this is also going to be for people who are narcissists, maybe watching this channel. So, what is important is to look at how things went. So, are you reacting? Are you reacting, or are you the one bringing forth this stuff? Are you the one trying to process, trying to make things better, taking accountability for the things that you have done? And a lot of times we start to look on ourselves where there are things that we did not do the way we would have preferred to have done. Sometimes it's just accidental. We don't realize that we're kind of in survival mode, but the intent is what matters. So if you were canceling because you were depressed, your intent was not to blow the person off and go do something else, like you didn't care about the person, you needed your rest. And, when we have struggles, it can affect our other relationships. That's why when you go into a new relationship, that it's good to be as healed as possible. So you're not blowing people off because you're depressed or just too tired and unmotivated. And don't give up on yourself. So if you are a narcissist, what is causing these triggers? A lot of us empathetic people, we don't understand what is going on. And when we try to talk through it, it makes it worse. And it might feel like pressure to you. It might feel like you're a failure. A lot of us are saying, I love you, let's work through this. But in a narcissistic mind, they don't process it as love. They process it as a bunch of BS. And the more that we try to love them, the more that we invest, they back off a little bit because we are investing so much. So are we as healthy as we can be? Are we investing? Are we communicating the best that we can and trying to understand the person? Was your narcissist trying to understand what was going on with you? And sometimes they do. So it gets really confusing. But when you express your needs, we don't have to have the other person always give us our needs, but that's where the boundaries come in. If you need somebody to call you every Friday night because that's what you feel a relationship should be like, then you can set those boundaries. And if they're not going to meet those, you're not going to be happy. But was it clear and concise, or did you just have expectations put on this person without them knowing? So sometimes it's poor communication skills, expectations of things are going to be the way I want them to be because they're going along good. But over time, the boundaries that were not stated will come up front. So did you say, if I'm going to marry you, I want to have two babies? Did you tell them that? Or are you expecting like, hey, every family has two babies, and then the communication should have been done at the beginning and throughout the beginning phases of the relationship and brought it stronger. Sometimes we don't want to walk away from certain relationships because we do care about the person. We do feel that magic. And we forget how important certain things are to us, whether it's having a family and they don't want to have one. We're caught up in the moment sometimes. But as you look at yourself, what were your intents? Was your intent to hurt? I read this thing earlier today about, it was a 13-year-old that went to therapy, was having an issue, and she's like, what's narcissist? My dad called me a narcissist. And how we say things sometimes matters. We can say the same things, but in a different way with a different intention, and it has a whole different outcome. So how he had said it to her is, you are a narcissist. And during that developmental stage of age 13, that narcissism is a part of the growth. And it's frustrating to go through that when you're just like, trying to deal with a 13-year-old. But you can call them in a shameful way. You can say, sweetie, what's going on? Why are you, acting this way, and trying to connect with them as opposed to shaming them. So when you were trying to communicate, were you trying to communicate, you need to stop this, you need to whatever, in a controlling manner or a demeaning manner, shameful manner, or were you trying to say, look, I'm trying to connect with you? So empathetic people try to connect. Narcissists have walls built up within that connection. So if you can self-reflect on some of the things that you have felt, thought, and did. Also, when I see a lot of people that are hurt, and I see the communication between people, that they don't see what they're doing now to the relationships that they're in now. And I say this with a lot of love. We're all, a lot of us are hurt. A lot of us are trying to deal with things. A lot of us see narcissism now, so we put it on other people. But I see people not putting up the boundaries and doing things more in a childlike manner sometimes. And that's because of the trauma we've been through, whether we're the narcissist or whether we are somebody in adult life that has gone through CPTSD. But when you are in that state, we don't always see what we're doing. And I see people who care about each other, and there's a lot of struggles that are going on. So if you guys could tell me what your struggles are, I will directly address them for you. I do try to reply to everything, and also possibly if it's a intense situation, I will do videos for you. I also have one-on-ones. But are you the narcissist? What was your intention on the communication? To shut them up, to avoid shame, or to connect? If you were trying to connect and you understood your shortfallings, then that's not narcissism. Maybe you lack setting up boundaries, and over time, those boundaries were pushed back further and further and further. And you're kicking yourself a lot of times for not seeing what was going on. But it takes time for the truth to surface. And, a lot of us get really hurt by that because we trusted the person to be honest with us. A lot of us shared our deep, dark secrets, and they were turned against us, used to abuse us. And that's like a double whammy. When you say, I'm sensitive about this, that's what they target. Were you targeting your person's sensitivities? Because we all say things we regret. And we have to stop and think, what are the outcomes? And sometimes it's hard. You're in the middle of that conversation and you're reacting on your emotions. I know in the classroom, you guys know I'm a teacher, that you have to not take things personally in the classroom because of the vibration. So I'm talking about the vibrations, because when you're in a relationship with a partner, it's different. You do take things personally, but the more we can realize that the attacks that we were under weren't about us. And when I'm in the classroom, they say things or they act certain ways, they push certain buttons, and it's not a reflection of me, it's a reflection of what they're going through. But in a living arrangement, that gets exhausting. It gets exhausting at school. And I adore the kids. You appreciate them, you love them, but there's times it's exhausting. I just want to go to sleep because, we have to be so strong in those kind of situations. And, I'm pretty good about not taking things personally, but the constant redirecting. And I have like 28 kids at once, that a narcissist is a lot like that. So if you feel drained, you're probably more of an empathetic person. And if you feel angry, it could go either way. But were you willing to work through things? Were you willing to see their side? If so, you have some empathy to you. But we have to act on that empathy. And we also have to set our boundaries. And sometimes it feels very awkward to an empathetic person to set boundaries, because if we've been through some certain traumas or the way we were brought up, we feel sometimes as a people pleaser, we've become codependent because of that trauma bond. And I see some people who have a lot of anger, and I get it, I understand it, but some people want such revenge. And I had a viewer who had said that he just wanted to get back together with her for a week so he could discard her. And we're just hurting people more. And that hurt person times 2 is going to be out in our world. So if we can understand what happened, not seek revenge, but seek healing, because the focus is on them when we're seeking revenge. We want to put our hurt onto somebody else. And it's better to set our hurt free instead of onto something that's going to affect our society. So don't let the narcissist win. Don't believe what they have said about you. You know what you did in the relationship. We are human. We make mistakes. We have to accept that. We cannot change the past. And this is a growing period where we're learning more about ourselves. And that will lead to something better. But if the person is just entitled, using somebody else, it's a narcissistic cycle of abuse where they're going to start to see little cracks in the foundation. And if they don't want to strengthen that foundation, it will lead to their destruction. So if they're with a new supply and they don't work on the cracks, it's going to get destroyed. If they worked on the problems, it could work out. But relationships are two people. And sometimes it gets really hard, like whose turn is it to have the compromise or be right this time? So know that if you did the best you could, that's all you could have done. Can you do things better in the future? But it's time to not beat ourselves up over the relationship anymore. That if God or the universe fixes it somehow. But when you let go and grow, what's meant to be will be. So have faith in that. Don't get stuck where you are now. You're all going to have different feelings on what you want. But if you grow and flourish into who you should be and are at heart, the right thing will happen for you. Right now, we're hurt. We're going to hurt other people. So the more we heal, the more it works in our favor. One-on-ones are available. Please like and subscribe. Share this if it'll help someone.